now look at percentages. There are various aspects of percentages we want to look at. So let's start with converting a decimal to a percentage. To convert a decimal to percentage, you multiply by 100. So we have three decimals here, 0.57, 0.02, 1.08. So we consider these three decimals and multiply them, each of them by 100. So we have 0.57 times 100, and that is giving us 57%. You can use a calculator to key in 0.57 times 100. You can also, whenever you're multiplying a number, any number at all, by 100, consider where the decimal point is and move it to the right, or by any number in the zeros, okay? So here in the hundreds, we have 2 zeros. So I consider where my decimal point is, I move it to the right, 1, 2. Once I move it here, decimal place is now at this point. Therefore, the number is now 57.0, which is the same as 57. And so I have 57%. I have converted this decimal to a percentage. So I need to bring the percentage sign. Now, 0.02 times 100. All right, so to convert from a decimal to a percentage, you multiply the decimal by 100. Now, here we have 0.57. To convert this to a percentage, you multiply this 0.57 by 100. Therefore, if you check with your calculators, 0.57 times 100 is 57. And we have to add the percentage sign to show that this is a percentage. We are converting this decimal to a percentage. Now, whenever you multiplying a decimal by numbers in their tens, hundreds, or thousands, consider the number of zeros involved and then move the decimal point to the right, the number of zeros you can see. In this case, I see 2 zeros. There's 100 here. So I look at my decimal point here. I move it 1, 2. So the decimal point has now moved here. So now I have 57,057, which is the same as 57.0. Therefore, I have 57% here. Now, to change 0.02 to a percentage, once again, multiply this by 100. 1, 2, I have 2%. Same for 1.08. Multiply this by 100, I have 1, 2, so I have 108%. So let's try. Convert the following decimals to percentages. What comes to my mind readily is multiply each of these decimals by 100. So I take the first one, 0.38 times 100. I have 1, 2, so I have equals to 38%. 4.5 times 100. 1, 2. There's no number here, so a 0 should be put there. So I'm having here 450%. And then 0.05 times, so I have 5%. Now we are changing fraction to percentage conversion. If you have a fraction and you want to change this to a percentage, what do? Multiply the fraction by 100. So once again, we have three fractions here. We convert them to percentages by multiplying them by 100. So you take your first fraction, which is 20 out of 25 times 100. Once again, you can use a calculator to do this. Otherwise, you could simply cross out to find the final figure. So here I can say, if I use my calculator, I'm getting 1 out of 4 out of, so fine, let's go ahead. So here we have 5 divides here 4, it divides here 5. Now 5 divides here 1, 5 divides here 20. And 20 times 4 is 80, so I have 80%. So you can apply the same thing to each of these three fractions. If you own a calculator, simply type them in to get your final results for multiplying the fraction by 100. So in the second one, for example, we have 24 out of 25 times 100. 25 cancels here 1, cancels through 100 4 times. And 24 times 4 is 96. So I have 96%. Then finally, here I have 20 goes in here 1, goes in here 5 times. And then I can check 18 times 5 being equal to 90%. So let's practice these fractions, converting these fractions to percentages. To convert the following fractions to percentages, you multiply each of these fractions by 100. So 35 out of 50 times 100. And that is giving me 50 goes in here, 1 goes in here, 2. 35 times 2 is 70. And then I add my percentage sign. 48 over 100 times 100. The 100 cancels out here, 1 and 1. So finally, I have 48%. Then 13 out of 25 times 100. 25 goes in here 1, it goes in here 4 times. So finally, I have 13 times 4 being equal to 52%. So this is how you convert a fraction to a percentage. Now, let's see how to convert a percentage to a decimal. So to convert a percentage to a decimal, you divide by 100. Okay. If you recall, the first thing we did was converting a decimal to a percentage. From decimal to percentage, we multiplied by 100. So now from percentage to decimal, we want to divide by 100. So you have 72%. We want to convert it to a decimal. So 72% here is giving us 72 divided by 100. And if you recall, if we had any number, say 5.2, and we multiplied it by 100, we move the decimal place to the right twice. So once I'm dividing a number by 100, I'm going to move the decimal place to the left by the number of zeros involved. So I have here 72 over 100. For any whole number, let's say 5, the decimal point is here. So we have 5 is the same as 5.0. 6 is the same as 6.0. So 72 is the same as 72.0. So what I can do is I can move the decimal place to the left 2 times. So I have 1, 2. The decimal place is now here. So I have 0.72 or 0.72 as my final answer. I did this because I'm dividing this 72 by 100, which has 2 zeros. Now 32%, we write it as 32 divided by 100 according to the rule. So divided by 100, where is the decimal point? It is here. Okay, so I move it 1, 2. Then I have 0.32. Once I end here, there's a 0 here. You can also write it as 0.32, and that's acceptable. Finally, 56% is 56 divided by 100. So I have 56 divided by 100. Decimal place is here. I move it 1, 2. I have 0.56. So practice, convert the following percentages to decimals. Keep the rule in mind. Converting from percentage to decimal means that you're dividing by 100. Now, one clue you can use is to note that this is 52%. So you're writing this as 52. Assume this to be 100. So 52 all over 100, okay? And then at this point, decimal place is here. We move it 1, 2. We have 0.52. Same for 48%. 48 over 100. Decimal point is here. Move it 1, 2, and I have 0.48. I have 12.5%. So 12.5 over 100. And that is, I move the decimal place to the left twice. So I have 1, 2, and that is 0.125. So now we have learned to convert percentages to decimals. Now let's look at converting a percentage to fraction. Now to convert the percentage to a fraction, divide by 100. Once again, like we did in the case of converting from percentage to decimal. So divide by 100 and then simplify to the lowest term. So we start with the first example. 65%, you want to convert this to a fraction. So we have 65 divided by 100. We can further simplify this. So we have here 5 can divide 65 to get 13, and it can divide 100 to get 20. So finally, we have 13 out of 20 as our final answer. 75% is equal to 75 over 100. So in this case, I can see that 20, let's go step by step. 5 can divide 75 to get 15. It can divide 100 to get 20. And I have 15 out of 20. This fraction can further be simplified because I can see that 5 can still divide both of the numbers. So 5 divides 15 3 times, and it divides 24 times. I have 3 out of 4. At this point, I can no more further simplify this, so I leave it at that. Right. So you apply this system for converting percentages to fractions. Now, you want to convert percentages to fractions. These are further examples to consider. So let's look at the second one. We have here 32%, which is the same as 32 all over 100. Now, 2 divides this 32 to get 16, and it divides this 100 to get 20. So I have 16 out of 20. I see that 2 can still divide 16 and 20. So 2 divides 16 to get 8. It divides 20 to get 10. I have 8 out of 10. Well, it seems this fraction can still be simplified. 2 divides 8, 4 to 4. 2 divides 10 to get 5. And now I have 4 over 5. At this point, I can no more further simplify. So my final answer is 4 out of 5. I made a mistake. So let's consider 32%. Now 2 divides 32 to get 16. And then 2 divides 100 to get 50. So I have 16 out of 50. 2 will divide 16 again to get 8 and divide 50 to get 25. So I have 8 out of 25. I can see that I can no more further divide this fraction. So I circle it and keep it as my final simplified fraction. So apply the same system for any percentage you see that you want to convert to a fraction. Now we want to look at calculating percentages. So what does this mean? You want to find the percentage of some number or a particular percentage of some quantity. So in this example, the first one, we want to find 30% of 50. So to find 30% of 50, you write your fraction now, 30 out of 100 times 50. We can simplify this. 0 cancels here out. It cancels another 0 here. 3 times 5 is 15. If you don't want to go through this, just pick your calculator, type in 30 divided by 100, equal, enter, then multiply what you have by 50, and you get your final answer. The second one we want to find is 20% of 70, of the number 70. So that is 20 over 100 times 70, 0, 0, 0, 0. There are 2 zeros in the numerator. This is 70 over 1. 70, a number standing alone, is the same as that number over 1. So there are 2 zeros in the numerator, 2 zeros in the denominator. These are multiplying, so I can cancel it. That is why I cancel out this 0, this 0, this 0, this 0. Once again, if you don't get the system, just use your calculators to find your final answer. I have 7 left here. I have 2 left. So 7 times 2 is giving me 14 as my final answer. Once again, I have 15% of 30. So 15 over 100 times 30. This one, I want to use my calculator. So I'll have 15 divided by 100, and that's 0.15. So 0.15 from my calculator times 30. 0.15 times 30 is giving me 4.5 from my calculator. Right, so we have the same value here. So let us now convert the following percentages. The first one is find 40% of 50. So we can write this as 40 out of 100 times 50. So when we further simplify this, 0 out, 0 out, 0 out, 0 out. 4 times 5 is 20. So 40% of 50 is 20. Now I want to find 30% of 600. So we have 30 out of 100 times 600. So the 0 here can cancel this. The 0 here can cancel this. Then we have now 30 times 6. And that should give us 180. So 30% of 600 is 180. Finally, 90% of 54. So 90 out of 100 times 54. I would like to use my calculator at this point. So for this one, I have 90 divided by 100 times 54. And that's giving me 48.6. Right. Let's now look at increasing a particular number by a certain percentage. So for example, increase 80 by 30%. So you have the number 80. It could stand for anything. It could stand for 80 oranges. we want to increase this number 80 by 30%. So first of all, to increase 80 by 30%, my first strategy will be to find 30% of 80. So that's 30 out of 100 times 80. So this cancels out. I have 8 times 3 is 24. All right. So to say that I'm increasing 80 by 30% is the same as saying that I'm increasing 80 by 24, because 30% of 80 is 24. Therefore, the second step is add 24 to the 80, and that's giving us 104. Therefore, when you increase 80 by 30%, you are getting 104. Take note, the word here says increase. So you expect that your final value should be more than 80. And it should be more than 80 by what percentage? 30% of this same value, 80. Now, increase a number by percentage. Let's practice with these two examples. Increase 50 by 25%. So step 1, let's find 25%. 25 over 100 times 50. 25 goes in here 1, it goes in here 4 times. And 50 divided by 4 is 12.5. So we have here 12.5. So this is the amount of increase, okay? So to find the new value, we're going to add the step 2, add 12.5 to 50. And that's giving us 62.5. So this is the new value after you have increased 50 by 25%. Finally, increase 25 by 10%. So 10% of 25 is, I'm getting 2.5. Therefore, if I increase 25 by 10%, I should get 25 plus 2.5. And that's 27.5. The next step is decreasing a number by a particular percentage. So we'll do the same process as the increasing, but in this case, instead of adding, we will do subtraction. So if you are decreasing a number by percentage, your expectation is that the original value you have here will reduce. The final result will be a lower number than the original value you have here. So in this example, decrease 70 by 20%. We'll first of all find 20% of 70, which is what we did here. What has been done here? 20% of 70 giving us 14. So now take your original value and subtract 14 from it to get 56. Therefore, if you decrease 70 by 20%, you are getting 56. This 70, let us not focus too much on this step. It's cancelled. So this is our final answer. So practice examples. Decrease the following numbers. Number 1, decrease 40 by 10%. So what do we do? First of all, let's find 10% of 40. And that is 0.0004. So to decrease 40 by 10% of 40, which is 4, I'm going to have 40 minus 4, which is now 36. Then secondly, decrease 100 by 25%. So we have 25% of 100. Okay, yeah, so 100 comes out. The value is 25. So we have 100 plus, no, minus, sorry. We have 100 minus 25 because we are decreasing, and that gives us 75. 75 is less than 100, so we are sure that this is okay. Right, so this is how you go about decreasing a number by a percentage. Kindly take note of the difference between this and increasing a number by a percentage. We now want to look at the concept of reverse percentages. Now, in calculating for reverse percentages, you are looking for the original value. Previously, we looked at increasing a number by a percentage, decreasing a number by a percentage. We had an original value, and then we tried to find the new value after the increase or the new value after the decrease. In this reverse percentages, you will be given the new value, and you will be required to find the original value that was worked on. That is why we are calling it a reverse percentage. So, example, after increasing a number by 20%, it is now equal to 60. Find the original value. So let's say that, let me solve it and freshly here. let's say that after increasing a number, I don't know what that number is. So I'm going to use my variable y to represent that number. Now, after increasing this number by 20%, it is now equal to 60. To increase a number by a certain percentage, what do we do first? First of all, you find 20% of that number, which is y, and you get some value. In this case, you're going to get 20 divided by 100, which is 0.2, 0.2y. And the next step is you subtract increase. So I'll add this to the original value. This original amount. So this the original one plus the amount of increase, which is 0.2y. And I expect that to be equal to 60. So y here is the same as 1y. So 1y plus 0.2y is 1.2y, which is equal to 60. Therefore, y is equal to 60 over 1.2, and that's giving me 50. Therefore, after increasing a number, that number is 50. So after increasing 50 by 20%, it is now equal to 60. I use the same process of if I should have been given the original number rather. I just follow through the steps by indicating that that number I'm looking for is variable y, and I work through the process. Practice example, x increased by 20% equals 96. Find x. We don't know what x is, so let's start the process. So we have original value, which is x. If you are increasing x by 20%, it means you are finding 20. First of all, you find 20% of times x. This is my x, 20% of x. And this will be equal to what? 0.2x. So if I increase this x by 20%, finally I should have this x plus this new value, which is 0.2x. And I'm being told that this is equal to 96. So what do I do? X plus 0.2x is 1.2x, which is equal to 96. And 96 divided by 1.2 is 80. So my x is equal to 80. So the original value is 80. Now, another example, y decreased by 10% equals 0.8. Find y. So once again, we don't know what y is, so we have our original value as y. Now, when y is decreased by 10%, so first of all, let's find 10% of y. So 10 out of 100 times y, which is equal to 0.1y. So to decrease this y by 10% of y, I have y minus 0.1y, and that is, I'm told that is equal to, or we are being told is equal to 0.8. So 1y minus 0.1y is 0.9y, and that's equal to 0.8. So divide both sides by 0.9. We have y being equal to 8 out of 9. And that's the same as 0.889. So when you decrease 0.889 by 10%, you have 0.8. Now let's look at calculating percentage change. To calculate percentage change, you need to know two main values, the old value and the new value. Now here is the formula for calculating percentage change. So percentage change is equal to the new value minus the old value all over the old value times 100. Example, petrol price increased from 10 cedis to 12 cedis per liter. In this case, what's the old value? It increased from this to this. So this is a new value, and this is the old value. So once you know your old and your new value, you fix them into the formula, and then you calculate to find your percentage change. Therefore, according to the formula, we have here 12 minus 10 all over 10 times 100. You can simplify this. You're getting 12 minus 10 is 2 over 10 times 100. And finally, we'll get 20%. So when the percentage change of petrol increasing from 10 to cedis to 12 cedis is 20%. Please make sure you add your percentage sign because you're looking for percentage change. Now, laptop sales increased from 70 to 98. Find the percentage change. So what was the original value? It used to be 70, so that's the old value. It's now 98, which is the new value. Therefore, the percentage change is the old value minus the new value. Now, this is our old value and this is our new value. Therefore, the percentage change is the new value minus the old value, or simply the difference between the new and the old, all over the old value. Sometimes you call the old value the original value, times 100%. And this is equal to 98 minus 70 for this example, all over 70 times 100%. So we have 98 minus 70, which is 28, divided by 70 times 100%. Now 28 divided by 70 is 0.4 times 100 is 40. So we have 40%. Therefore, the percentage change of laptop sales increasing from 70 to 98 is 40%. Another example, the value of a painting increased from 20,000 to 35,000. Find the percentage increase. Right, so to find the percentage increase, we need to know what our original value is and then our new value is. This is our original value. This is our new value. So therefore, the percentage change is equal to 35,000 minus 20,000 all over 20,000 times 100%. So the numerator here giving us 15,000 all over 20,000 times 100%. So 0 cancels out all through, and we are left with 15 out of 20 times 100%. 15 out of 20, 5 goes in here 3 times, goes in here 4. So 3/4 of 100%, and that is giving us 75%. Therefore, the value of a painting increasing from 20,000 to 35,000 is a 75% increment from the original value to the new value.